would we do that?
So a question we get asked frequently, and people have an inkling that they could do this, they're just not exactly sure how, is how to set up the file manager so that, you know, your administrators can administer the files as normal, but you might give limited access to a group of administrators who can upload files to the file manager, reference those around the site, but can't mess with each other's files. They really can treat it like a Dropbox and edit their own files, but can't see or edit files of other people. And this is very possible with Concrete5, and especially easy to do with 5.6, and so we're going to walk through how we do that. So I've set this up already on this C5 host site, and I'm just going to walk through some of the useful permissions that set that up. So I am logged in as the administrator right now, which is why you can see everything that I can do. But if I will go first into my users and groups. So I have created a new group called Limited File Manager, and then I have assigned that to a user, and my user who has that access is called subadmin, so that's pretty basic stuff right there. He does not have an administrator account, so that's important right now. If I gave him an administrator account, none of this would really affect anything because all of our permissions stack upward, and he would get the ability to do everything. So I've done that, and then at this point I set up my file permissions, which is in Systems and Settings. And usually it's set up so that everyone can view files and then only administrators can do everything on down here. And search files in File Manager controls whether you can see the File Manager search interface. But you can see I've done some extra stuff here. The first thing that I do is for the permissions that I want to give access to these limited users to, I have not actually given them, I have not gone in here and added limited file manager to these permissions, because if I did that they would have full access to any of these permissions. So what I've actually done is I've used what we call an access entity, and this is a new term in 5.6. Different sort of permission types can define these for different sort of dynamic rules. So in the file manager, there is, in addition to groups and users and group sets, there is the concept of a file uploader. So if I add this permission to something, it basically says this permission is allowed for whomever has uploaded the file. So not a specific user or group, it's whoever, it's sort of applied dynamically. And so I add this permission to the search, the edit, and the edit contents, and then delete. And then if I were to just do that and not give the limited file manager group access to add files, they wouldn't be able to do anything because they'd never be able to become a file uploader because they'd never be able to add a file. So I also make sure to actually give the limited file manager group access to the add file permission. And once I do that, that's all I have to do to get my file-based permissions to work. Unfortunately, that is not the end of the permissions that you have to set up, and this is just kind of stuff that you'll have to do whenever you want to do something like this, whatever it is. So our permissions cascade downward. If I wanted to give access to a user to go into the dashboard file manager, if I just gave, I could not just come into the dashboard and come into files and file manager and give them set permissions to administrators and file manager. That's what it looks like here. If I do that, I'll never see the dashboard drop down because they won't have access to this top dashboard node. This is the most tedious portion of this, and it totally works. It's just a lot of clicking, so don't be surprised if this gets tightened up a little bit in the future. So what we had to do was we had to set permissions on the top level node to give administrators and limited file manager access to view it. But then, of course, since they cascade downward, you have to go to every level and reset those permissions to just administrator. And it works, but it is tedious, and it took about with the copy and paste permission sets, it takes a little less time, but it takes about 10 minutes or so. Small price to pay for the flexibility, but something that we will probably.
Didn't have to write any code, did you?
No, I did not.
Well, then cry me a river.
That is fair.
Yeah.
So now if I log in as my subadmin, you'll notice I get an edit button here. That's just because we don't hide the edit button even if you can't do anything, but I can't actually edit anything on this page because I haven't set up any edit permissions for this user. I've literally only given them access to the file manager in the dashboard. So if I come into the dashboard, you can see I have this one guy and no files found, but if I go in here and choose a file and
there are files in there. There's files in every concrete5 site.
Yep.
So you just cannot see them because you didn't add them.
exactly. And if I add my logo here, no, I'm not allowed to upload zip files.
You can't upload zip files. That'd be crazy.
And that's a picture. It's awesome. And I have the access.
Sweet.
I have access to add this file. And since I uploaded it, I have full ability to control it and edit it and mess with it. And so would the administrator if they logged in here. But no one else, no other limited file manager user could do that because there are other files in the file manager that we're not seeing.
Yeah,
because,
just you're seeing
like
stuff that you added.
Yep.
So you find the file manager task permissions through intelligent search.
Yep.
You make it so the group that you've made can see can add files at all. That's just that add file permission. You have to turn that one on. Otherwise they can't add anything. And once they've done that, then you can limit what they can see. Since those permissions there are so granular, you can limit searching, editing, edit file contents, all that to just the files that you have uploaded by using the access entity file uploader. And you just got to make sure they can actually get to it in the dashboard with its own permissions, and you're done.
Yeah, and so, you know, you really, since these are separate permissions, if I had given a limited file manager user or an editor group, this person could also have an editor group applied to them which controls their front end editing.
Sure.
If I gave them access to edit content on the site, I might not give them dashboard access at all. And the fact that these are separate permissions would mean that while I could not get to the dashboard to upload files, I could use my in-page file manager to actually,
file blocker.
Yeah, and that would all totally work.
Block, that would work. Nice. And then if you were to use groups, if I wanted to make a group that was just marketing, and I want everyone who's in marketing to only see their own marketing assets, I would do that by making that group, adding them to the add file. And then would I still use file uploader, or would I put marketing in search files file manager?
What you would probably want to do is, and this is a challenge, you would probably want to enable permissions based on, how would you do this? I'm not sure that you can. You could enable like permissions on a set, a file set for marketing assets, but you would have to. That's something you could do. You could set this. You could do this setup here, and then you could enable custom permissions on a marketing set where anyone in that set and in that group could see that entire set, and then. Until somebody uploaded a file and put it in that set, it would be invisible to everyone else in that group. But once they put it in the set,
it'd be visible to everyone. Well, that sounds like a how-to for another week.